Nipsey Hussle's stunning death is trending #1 on Twitter. Celebrities are flooding social media.
Day by day. And at the same time, I think we should also remember all the people no longer with us because of gun violence.
Actor Roger E. Mosley, best known for his role as helicopter pilot TC on the hit series Magnum P.I., died yesterday. Mosley starred as Tom Selleck's sidekick in the 1980s.
Fame isn't always the dream life, it seems. For many Black Hollywood actors, the spotlight is just a small part of their story. Behind it lie brutal battles, silent pain, and deaths so shocking they defy belief. The 31 stories below will take you to the darkest corners of Hollywood, where fame couldn't shield these iconic actors from cruel fates and tragic ends. This is the harsh truth you'd likely never know if I didn't reveal it. 31. Roger E. Mosley, a horrific crash and final moments behind the wheel. Roger E. Mosley was a household name in the 80s, captivating audiences as TC, the fearless helicopter pilot in the hit series Magnum P.I. Starting from humble beginnings, Mosley fought his way into Hollywood with grit and passion, becoming a symbol for those daring to dream beyond prejudice. His life was a journey of overcoming adversity to reach stardom, but fate dragged him back to darkness with a fatal accident. On the afternoon of August 4, 2022, Mosley was driving alone, a habit he kept, cruising streets tied to his impoverished childhood and years of struggle. He headed toward the beach, where he'd watched the sunset weekly. But destiny struck a cruel blow at that moment. At a rough curve near Crenshaw, a truck suddenly lost control, barreling toward his car at terrifying speed. The crash roared like thunder, glass shattered, the car torn apart. In a split second, a life was changed forever. Mosley was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. His spine severely injured, he couldn't move, his eyes filled with a desperate longing to hold on to something. For 3 days, he lay in a hospital bed, alone amid the hum of machines. Family held his hand, recounting old memories, trying to rouse the resilient spirit of the father who'd once defied all odds. But his body was too weary. On the morning of August 7th, Roger E. Mosley took his last breath, surrounded by grieving loved ones. A man who'd risen above everything couldn't outrun fate. 30. Thomas Jefferson Byrd, a bitter end for a lonely artist in a hail of bullets. Thomas Jefferson Byrd wasn't a Hollywood A-lister, but for fans of Ray, Clockers, or Bamboozled, his face was unforgettable. A longtime collaborator with Spike Lee, Byrd didn't need lead roles to shine. In just minutes on screen, he left a mark. Born and raised in Georgia amid stifling racism, he turned to art as a means of survival. His roles weren't just performances, they were his life, his pain, the resilience he swallowed deep inside. Yet on a night in October 2020, Thomas Jefferson Byrd met a fate no one could fathom. Before dawn in Atlanta, his body was found on a sidewalk under a dim streetlight, riddled with bullets in his back. No chance to cry for help, no witnesses, just a shadow vanishing into the night. It wasn't a robbery. His wallet, watch, and phone were untouched. But his life was gone. Friends said Byrd had grown reclusive, rarely seen, often glancing over his shoulder. Once he'd clashed heatedly with a young man in his theater class, expelling him for disrespect. It seemed to end there, until that fateful night. Police investigated. A suspect was arrested. But the true motive remained shrouded. The media barely covered it, and the story faded into silence. An artist who lived authentically died in quiet obscurity. 29th, Tabby Diamond, reggae legend, gunned down. Outside a hospital. Tabby Diamond was the soul of the Mighty Diamonds, the reggae group that brought Jamaican music to the world. His voice carried the pain and hope of the poor, the gunsmoke-filled streets of Kingston. He wasn't just an artist, but a voice for a generation living in chaos, seeking peace through music. But on the afternoon of March 29, 2022, that peace ended in a flash. Standing outside a Kingston hospital for a routine checkup, chatting with acquaintances, Tabby didn't see the motorcycle approaching. Then a burst of gunfire tore through the air. He collapsed on the spot. Another person died with him. The shooter vanished into an alley as if they'd never existed. It felt like a daylight execution. Locals whispered of a feud between rival gangs in the Waterhouse area. Someone in Tabby's family was rumored to be involved, dragging him into a bloody settling of scores he had no part in. An artist who spent his life preaching peace was killed by blind hatred on the land he loved most. Tabby had performed on global stages, singing for justice. But he chose to stay in Kingston amid poverty and danger, loyal to his roots. That loyalty made him an easy target. His death wasn't just a personal loss, it was a slap to Jamaican music, a bitter reminder that in a place where gunshots outnumber songs, even legends aren't safe. 28th, Coolio, hip-hop legend, felled by drugs. Coolio, born artist Leon Ivy Jr., was a towering hip-hop icon of the 1990s. His hit, Gangsta's Paradise, not only won a Grammy, but elevated street rap to mainstream culture. Beyond music, Coolio acted, wrote cookbooks, and appeared on TV, becoming a global household name. No one could have predicted that on the afternoon of September 28, 2022, at a friend's house in Los Angeles, Coolio would be found unconscious in a bathroom. By the time paramedics arrived, he was gone. Autopsy confirmed the cause, a fatal overdose of fentanyl and other drugs. The truth behind the glamour then surfaced. Coolio had overcome a rough Compton childhood and battled addiction to become a celebrated artist. Yet, his past's shadows never left him. Despite efforts to quit and rebuild, he couldn't escape the drug spiral. His death was a painful reminder of addiction's devastation, especially fentanyl, a potent opioid claiming countless artists. 27. Michael K. Williams, falling at his peak to a deadly drug. Michael K. Williams was one of American TV's most distinctive faces. His role as Omar Little in The Wire made him a generational icon, bold, gritty, uncompromising. But few knew that behind the spotlight, Michael carried more scars and shadows than any character he played. On the morning of September 6, 2021, family visited his Brooklyn apartment. The door was unlocked, the silence deafening. He lay motionless near a wooden table, a half-read script nearby. Michael had died from a drug overdose, a mix including fentanyl. His death echoed his years-long battle with addiction, which he'd spoken about openly, even using his life to advocate against it. Yet, just when things seemed bright, his career resurging, new film projects lined up, he fell. No one expected the man posting radiant social media photos days earlier to be so close to death. No one imagined someone set to star in a film about addiction victims would become one himself. The dealer who sold him the drugs was arrested, but the loss was irreversible. Michael K. Williams left as he lived, scarred, emotional, unapologetically real. Tragically, an artist was exhausted by battles too heavy to bear. 26. John Curtis Holmes, adult film legend, crumbles to AIDS and drugs. John Curtis Holmes, a.k.a. Johnny Wad, was the king of 1970s adult films. His name was tied to hundreds of movies, a seductive icon for a generation. But behind the glamour, Holmes's life was a relentless struggle with inescapable darkness. On March 13, 1988, in a Los Angeles hospital, John Holmes died quietly and tragically at 43. The cause, years of battling HIV/AIDS, diagnosed in 1986, compounded by the devastating toll of prolonged cocaine addiction. Holmes withered rapidly, his body lifeless. Before his death, he was a shadow of his former self, a once star now wandering in darkness, friendless, careerless, tormented by pain. Before passing, Holmes fought not just a cruel disease, but a guilt-ridden past. In 1981, he was entangled in the Wonderland murders, one of Los Angeles' most gruesome underworld killings. Though not convicted, suspicion destroyed his career, contracts vanished, replaced by aimless nights. In his final years, he filmed small projects, but his eyes were lifeless, his face haggard. His death was the tragedy of a legend who pushed himself into the abyss, a life torn apart by drugs, crime, and loneliness. 25th, Taraja Ramsess, a heroic father's tragic death on the highway. Taraja Ramsess wasn't a screen star but a silent hero behind breathtaking stunts in Black Panther, Avengers, and Creed III. A stunt performer and single father, he fought tirelessly for his 5 children's future despite hardships. A symbol of sacrifice and relentless effort, Ramsess earned deep respect from colleagues and his community. On October 31, 2023, in the eerie Halloween night, tragedy struck like a raging storm. The SUV carrying Taraja and 3 of his kids returning from a costume party slammed into a broken-down truck parked motionless on an Atlanta highway. The truck had no warning lights, no signs, a deadly trap in the road. The impact was like a bomb, glass shattered, metal crumpled, the crash echoing through the calm night. Police and rescuers arrived to a heartbreaking truth. Taraja and his 3 children died on impact. None survived. A father, a quiet warrior, a family's hero, vanished with his beloved kids in a cruel moment. This wasn't just an accident, it was a gut punch to the film community and those who loved them. The image of a man who brought his kids to sets because he couldn't afford childcare, who smiled through exhaustion, was now just a memory crushed like that car in the city's heart. Taraja Ramsess left without a goodbye, but his resilient spirit, love for family, and sacrifice will live on. 24. Nipsey Hussle. Gunshots. End a dream to transform South Los Angeles. Nipsey Hussle, a rapper and actor, was more than a music star. He was a symbol of resilience and change for violence-plagued South Los Angeles. Rising from gang life to stardom with his album The Marathon, he used his voice to inspire and invest in reviving his community. On March 31, 2019, a day that seemed ordinary in South LA turned into an unforgettable nightmare. Nipsey, seen as Crenshaw's soul, stood outside his clothing store, The Marathon, where he poured his heart and faith to rebuild his life and those of young people around him. No one expected it to become the scene of a shocking murder. The enemy wasn't a stranger, but an acquaintance, Eric Holder. A simmering personal grudge and hidden jealousy erupted in a hail of merciless bullets. Nipsey fell in broad daylight, screams ringing out too late to save him. He'd chosen not to bring bodyguards, a sign of confidence that became a fatal mistake. Police and security cameras captured the horrific moment as Holder returned and shot Nipsey down. Nipsey Hussle died at 3:55 p.m., leaving behind an unfinished dream and a grieving community. His vision of a South LA free from gunshots became only pain and tears for those who believed in him. A man who fought to change lives was snuffed out by fate and envy in the very streets he tried to save. 23. Lamont Bentley. A fateful night crash. Claims a Moesha star, Lamont Bentley, an unforgettable face in the sitcom Moesha, was a vibrant symbol of youth. As Hakeem Campbell, he won American hearts, promising a bright career ahead. But that rising career ended abruptly, more painfully than anyone could predict. In the early hours of January 19, 2005, the deserted Highway 118 became the stage for an unthinkable tragedy. Lamont's Mercedes sped through the night, as if fleeing his inner darkness. Alone, with no one beside him, he drove cold roads with a heavy heart. This wasn't a casual drive, but an escape from mounting pressures, a fading career, the burden of raising 2 young daughters, failed contracts, and the inescapable shadow of his Hakeem role that typecast him forever. In a split second, it all vanished. The car veered, skidded off the road, crashed into a fence, and flipped wildly at least 4 times like an uncontrollable tempest. Lamont was ejected, no seatbelt, or perhaps no time to fasten it. He died at the scene, no farewell, no warning. His 2 young daughters slept soundly at home, unaware their father had fallen in the night. His death wasn't just an accident, it was the cry of a lost soul amid false glamour, a star fading in a relentless film world. The stage lights that once illuminated him burned his unfinished dreams, leaving a haunting void. 22. Moses J. Mosley. A mysterious death in Georgia's shadows. Moses J. Mosley wasn't a loud name, but left a mark for the Walking Dead fans. His soulful-eyed supporting role was a stepping stone to a promising career. He wasn't flashy or boastful, quietly carving a place in a cutthroat industry. But behind his calm exterior lay a story of unspoken struggles. On January 26, 2022, a chilling air enveloped Stockbridge, Georgia. A Dodge Challenger sat silently near a forest, Moses inside, dead, a gun on the passenger seat. He'd vanished nearly a week earlier, no messages, no goodbyes. Police suspected suicide or an accident, but the truth remains buried in darkness. Moses, who kept a cheerful, polite facade, battled panic attacks and suffocating lonely nights. He felt buried in minor roles, overshadowed by bigger stars. In his final months, losing a major role crushed his spirit. On that fateful night, he drove from his mother's house deep into the woods, where phone signals died, where time seemed to freeze. 21. Sidney Poitier. A Hollywood legend dies alone. Sidney Poitier was a trailblazing icon in American cinema, the first black actor to win an Oscar for Lilies of the Field. From poverty in the Bahamas to Hollywood's pinnacle, he shattered racial barriers, paving the way for generations of black artists. But his monumental life wasn't free of deep wounds. On January 6, 2022, as Los Angeles faced a rare cold snap, Sidney Poitier quietly passed in his hillside home, where he spent his final years battling heart disease and age-related health issues. The silent house seemed to hold a lifetime of solitude and quiet struggles. A Hollywood legend who'd carried the weight of prejudice faced the fragility of mortality. He'd endured scornful stares, typecast roles, and a silent fight for equal recognition in a racist world. Though the spotlight glorified him, Poitier couldn't escape a profound inner loneliness. In his final years, he lived reclusively, grappling with illness, with few loved ones nearby, only memories of a grueling journey. The night before his death, he sat in darkness, gazing at the lit city, lost in thought. A grand life, full of triumphs, but also wordless sorrows. His death reminded us that no matter how great, no one escapes solitude and the body's limits. 20. Lee Thompson Young, a teen star fades. Silently. Lee Thompson Young was a name tied to millions' childhoods. His role in the famous Jet Jackson made him a teen icon, promising, disciplined, always beaming. His talent and poise convinced everyone his future was boundless. But few knew that behind the stage, Lee quietly battled a deep, persistent exhaustion he couldn't name. On August 19, 2013, news of his sudden death rocked the industry. Lee was found in his Los Angeles apartment, leaving no note. He'd lived with bipolar disorder and depression, complex, silent, sometimes deadlier than physical wounds. He had fame, a career, admiration, but lacked the one thing he needed most: inner peace. His passing left not just regret for a young talent, but a reminder of the silent battles many face alone, unknown. A sad end for someone who lit up countless hearts. 19. Eartha Kitt, a legend's quiet death. Eartha Kitt was a force in American entertainment. From her commanding Catwoman in Batman to her sultry songs, she was a sharp, bold icon who defied norms. Behind the glamour, her life was far from peaceful. On Christmas Day, December 25, 2008, as the world celebrated, Eartha quietly took her last breath in a New York hospital room. She passed after 2 years of battling colon cancer. What haunted wasn't just her death, but how she faced it, silently, fiercely, without complaint. It was the final fight in a rugged life of pain and resilience. Raised in poverty, abused, shunned for her race and heritage, Eartha faced a harsh world. When she spoke out against the Vietnam War, Hollywood slammed its doors on her. Yet she returned, stronger. Even as cancer ravaged her, she performed, singing with fiery eyes, captivating audiences. In her final days, she refused to surrender, but when cancer overwhelmed, her body could no longer fight. 18. Merlin Santana, a young Hollywood star, falls to vengeful bullets. Merlin Santana was a rising young star in American TV. His standout role in The Steve Harvey Show won hearts with his natural acting and bright presence. From a violent Los Angeles neighborhood, he rose through talent, carrying dreams of conquering Hollywood. But it all collapsed in seconds. On the night of November 9, 2002, as Los Angeles sank into darkness, Merlin sat in a car, unaware he was in the crosshairs of a mistaken hit. A group of youths, fueled by rage, mistook him for an enemy in a bloody vendetta. Bullets flew without warning, shattering glass, ending the life of a young talent just stepping into the spotlight. Merlin died instantly, his career soaring, his dreams unfinished. His death wasn't just a loss for family or fans, but a chilling wake-up call about the dangers young Black Americans face. A vibrant, ambitious soul like Merlin was taken in the cruelest way, a victim of senseless street violence. 17. Isabel Sanford, a TV icon, dies in a hospital. Isabel Sanford was an irreplaceable face in American TV. As Louise Jefferson in The Jeffersons, she became a monument for Black representation in a Hollywood full of barriers. With talent and resolve, she overcame prejudice to become a star America adored. But behind the stage, her life was fraught. Raised in Harlem's poverty, she endured relentless racism. Her marriage brought no peace, only more wounds. As she aged, her health plummeted. A lingering heart condition grew ferocious. On July 9, 2004, she was admitted in critical condition. In a Los Angeles hospital room, time slowed. Her heartbeat faltered, her body frail. Doctors fought to hold on to faint hope, but it wasn't enough. Isabel passed quietly, hauntingly. Her death wasn't just an end, it closed a long, arduous journey where pain, sacrifice, and silent loneliness gnawed at her. A TV legend who made millions laugh, left alone after years of battling illness few knew about. 16. Gemmill Moore, a tragic death by drugs in a notorious apartment. Gemmill Moore was an adult film actor, a young man dreaming of rising in entertainment. But his life was tough. From poverty, he fell into drugs and the deadly temptations of a ruthless industry. On July 27, 2017, Los Angeles was shaken when Moore was found dead at Edward Buck's home, a figure tied to abuse allegations. The apartment was a deadly trap where Moore was drawn into dangerous drug binges. A methamphetamine overdose took his life. His death was a chilling warning about the dark side of power and vice, where dreams plummet into the abyss. 15. Roscoe Lee Browne, a battle with stomach cancer. Roscoe Lee Browne, a titan of American stage and screen, left an indelible mark, especially in the Cowboys. His warm voice and elegant presence earned industry reverence, but his life was far from smooth. On April 11, 2007, in a Los Angeles hospital, Roscoe took his final breath after years battling stomach cancer. The disease ravaged him daily, yet he clung to his craft, working until the pain was unbearable. He endured silent agony and loneliness amid relentless illness, a life of promise but also bitter struggles against racial prejudice. His death wasn't just an end but a grand tragedy for a brave artist who persevered to the end. 14. Ruby Dee, the silent death. After years of glory and loneliness, Ruby Dee was a legend of stage, screen, and an unflinching voice in the civil rights movement. She wasn't just famous for roles in A Raisin in the Sun or Do the Right Thing, but was a pioneer who dared to speak out in an era of oppression and prejudice. But on June 11, 2014, that radiant light went out. Ruby Dee passed away at her home in New Rochelle. No one witnessed that moment except the worn walls and dusty picture frames. Her heart stopped in a state of exhaustion, but this wasn't a gentle death. It was the end of a grueling journey after she was too weary to bear any more pain. Since Ossie Davis, her husband, died in 2005, Ruby had been quietly fading, like a lamp running out of oil. She lived nearly another decade, but it was a precarious time. Her memory crumbled, her health drained, and her heart, both literally and figuratively, slowly withered. She cried many nights, longing for Ossie to still be alive. She sat for hours, lost in a daze, as if waiting for someone from the past to return. And then, when her heart stopped, No one saw her struggle with the pain, but everyone understood. It was the bitter end of a life that had endured too much. 13. Ossie Davis. Death from heart complications. Ossie Davis, a veteran actor and civil rights activist, made his mark in Do the Right Thing. Raised in Georgia's poverty and racism, he never bowed. On February 4, 2005, in a Miami Beach hotel, working on a new film, his aging heart succumbed to cardiovascular complications. The room where he died was eerily quiet, holding a lifetime of silent battles. Illness, the stress of fighting for justice, and creeping loneliness eroded his health. His death was a massive loss for art and civil rights. He left a legacy of resilience, a warrior who never retreated despite life's storms. 12. Joey Stefano, gay film star, dies by drugs. Joey Stefano, an 80s sensual icon, was famous but lived in darkness. Raised in chaos, he was drawn to drugs early, unable to escape addiction and mental turmoil. On November 21, 1994, in Hollywood, after a lavish drug-fueled party, Joey slipped into a coma from an overdose of methamphetamine and ketamine. His death was the tragedy of a young star, a bloody inner war with no end, where glamour masked a dark life. It's a brutal testament to the unhealed cracks in his soul. 11. John Beasley. A resilient actor, felled by liver disease. John Beasley, a late-blooming but unforgettable name in American film with roles in Rudy and The Sum of All Fears, passed quietly on May 30, 2023, in an Omaha hospital. End-stage liver disease drained his strength, turning a screen warrior into a frail figure awaiting the end. John's life was no easy ride. Raised in poverty and prejudice, he fought for recognition. In his final days, the steady hum of ventilators accompanied his unfulfilled dreams and unhealed wounds. His death was a tearful tragedy, but proof of an unyielding will. 10. Chance Perdomo, a bright young talent, snuffed out in a motorcycle crash. Chance Perdomo, a standout in chilling adventures of Sabrina, died suddenly on March 29, 2024, in a motorcycle crash in upstate New York. His bike lost control on a sharp curve, slamming into a guardrail, killing him instantly. Raised in London's poverty and pressure, Chance was a relentless fighter, rising from small roles with vibrant acting. But his love for speed and motorcycles betrayed him. Reckless speed ended his dreams in a flash. Family, friends, and fans weren't ready for the shock, watching a rising star fade, leaving unrelenting pain. 9. Al Freeman Jr., a painful battle with heart disease. Al Freeman Jr., a stellar actor known for playing Elijah Muhammad in Malcolm X, passed on August 9, 2012, after years battling heart disease. Hospitalized in critical condition, each breath was a struggle, carrying a life of hardship and injustice. Al's life was no rose garden. Facing racism and industry barriers, he endured cut roles, limited chances, and financial struggles. His unyielding will built a lasting legacy. Heart complications, an invisible foe, choked his vitality, stealing a resilient artist's light, leaving pain and a void for loved ones and fans. 8. Bernie Mac, laughter, silenced by pneumonia. Complications. Bernie Mac, the beloved comedian of The Bernie Mac Show, died on August 9, 2008, in a Chicago hospital after a fierce battle with severe pneumonia, a result of chronic sarcoidosis plaguing him for years. Weeks earlier, each breath was agonizing, his strength fading. Few knew Bernie's childhood was a grind in Chicago, where he dreamed of spreading laughter. Behind the stage's dazzle, immense pressure and illness gnawed at him. Sarcoidosis silently ravaged his lungs, turning coughs and short breaths into a fight for survival. In his final days, he was no longer the funny man, but a frail warrior in a cold hospital room, trading life for a lasting void in the hearts of fans and family. 7. Harold Sylvester, a painful death after heart surgery. Harold Sylvester, a familiar face in Married, with children, passed on July 7, 2021, in New Orleans after years battling heart disease. A hoped-for surgery turned disastrous, with cardiovascular complications snuffing out any chance in moments. Born in New Orleans poverty, Harold's life wasn't glamorous. He persevered to build a career simply to support his family. But heart disease silently eroded him with endless pain, sleepless nights, and a wrestle with death becoming his reality. The surgery, meant as a final hope, became a tragedy when his weak heart couldn't endure, leaving silent grief for loved ones and fans. 6. Madge Sinclair. A brutal battle with leukemia. Madge Sinclair, the powerful voice of the Lion King and a Jamaican cultural flame in Hollywood, passed on December 20th, 1995, after years fighting leukemia. She was more than an actor, a warrior in an industry rife with racial barriers. From Jamaica to America, Madge faced prejudice, loneliness, and closed doors. But leukemia was her cruelest foe. Years of chemo, relentless pain, and sleepless nights. She still performed, her eyes resolute, though her strength waned. Fate called her in 1995 when the merciless disease stole her last vitality. Madge left quietly, her legacy of resilience unforgettable. 5. Tommy Lister Jr. COVID-19 and heart disease claim a giant. Tommy Lister Jr., the menacing Debo in Friday, was a screen icon who rose from poverty. On December 10, 2020, he passed at his Marina del Rey home after horrific complications from COVID-19, worsened by an underlying heart condition. Tommy fought not just a deadly virus, but his own weakening body. Days earlier, fatigue and breathing issues signaled a coming storm. In his final days, his quiet home became a battlefield, where labored breaths and resilient eyes wove a sad, heroic tale. Tommy left, a painful but steadfast mark on a life of constant fighting. 4. Roxie Roker, metastatic breast cancer. Takes a TV icon. Roxie Roker, immortal as Helen Willis in The Jeffersons, broke ground for interracial love on screen. From a childhood of poverty and prejudice, she became a beloved TV icon. On December 2, 1995, Roxie passed quietly in a Los Angeles hospital after years battling breast cancer that ravaged her body. The cancer spread fast, attacking relentlessly, weakening her daily. Roxie hid her illness, maintaining the strength she showed against harsh societal prejudice. In her final days, a cold hospital room became her solitary battleground against a storm of illness. Her death was a mournful end to a life of ceaseless fighting and boundless inspiration. 3. Bill Nunn, Leukemia Fells. A cinematic icon. Bill Nunn, unforgettable as Radio Raheem in Do the Right Thing, was a resilient symbol who overcame prejudice and industry pressures. On September 24, 2016, he quietly left the world at his Pittsburgh home after a long battle with leukemia. The disease spared him no mercy despite his fight, weakening him daily, draining his strength. In his final days, he was trapped in exhaustion and solitude, sunlight unable to ease the pain in his soul as memories of roles and unfinished dreams loomed. Bill Nunn's death was a tragic end to a journey of pain, but brimming with perseverance, leaving a lasting mark in cinema history. 2. Clarence Gilyard Jr. Liver cancer ravages. A versatile star, Clarence Gilyard Jr., a standout in Top Gun, and Walker, Texas Ranger, conquered screens with diverse talent and fierce resolve. But his life wasn't just glamour. On November 28, 2022, he passed in a Las Vegas hospital after months enduring end-stage liver cancer that broke his body and spirit. From a tough childhood facing racism and societal pressures, Clarence tirelessly built a storied career. Yet, no one saw the silent battle as his illness surged beyond control. In his final days, he was left with IVs and cold machines, utterly alone. His death was a loss to art and a tragedy of a resilient life forced to surrender to fate. 1. Takeoff. Shot dead at a casino, a future snuffed-out Takeoff, a Migos star with Bad and Bougie, rose above violence and hardship to reach the top. But success couldn't save him from his past's shadows. On November 1, 2022, at a Houston casino, a festive night turned chaotic as a brawl erupted. Gunshots rang out, stealing Takeoff's life on the spot. From Atlanta's gang-ridden streets to stage lights, he never escaped danger. His sudden, brutal death tore at loved ones' hearts and shocked the global hip-hop community. It laid bare a cruel truth. Behind the glamour lies an unrelenting silent war, and Takeoff was its latest victim in an unending feud. These are the brutal deaths of 31 top Black Hollywood actors. Each story is a deep cut, exposing showbiz's harsh reality. They made the world laugh, cry, applaud, but left in pain in ways no one foresaw. Which story breaks your heart most? Drop a comment below. And if you want more untold dark tales behind the glamour, hit subscribe now.